So meet Nina. I wanted to make a New Year gift for myself, but it turned out to be more of a gift for International Women's Day. Traditionally, a musician gave the doll its name, along with a legend that became the basis for the character. Nina means doll in Catalan, and we came up with the idea that it's her stage pseudonym because she lives in the Poble Sec district. This neighborhood is not just a place, it's a flamboyant character in the grand play of the Barcelona's history. Picture this. The streets are a stage, and every corner in Poble Sec whispers a tale of drama, dance, and a dash of daring. The main star, Avenue del Parallel, the glittering backbone of this artsy district. Think of it as the Las Vegas Strip, but with more tapas and less neon. Now, let's talk theaters and cabarets. Imagine if Moulin Rouge had a Spanish cousin. That's El Molino for you. This place was a hotbed of burlesque and cabaret in Barcelona, where theaters were not just part of the costume, but a symbol of flamboyance against the grey backdrop of Franco's regime. The Teatre Victoria and the Apolo Theatre were not just buildings. They were brave rebels in disguise hosting performances that were a subtle thumbing of the nose of censorship. It's like they whispered, "You're looking for spectacle, dear authority. Well, prepare to be subtly astonished." The Bohemians were the life of the party in Franco's Spain in Poble Sec. Artists, writers, and thinkers gathered their conversation with a cocktail of creativity, rebellion, and gossip. As I said, Nina, with her stage name meaning doll in Catalan, is indeed an enigma. Her true name is a well-kept secret adding to her mystique. Living in the vibrant Poble Sec neighborhood of Barcelona, known for its bustling cabarets and theaters, Nina has become somewhat of a local legend. Character-wise, Nina is a blend of mystery and charisma. She is the kind of doll who would wink at you from a balcony, leaving you wondering if you imagined it. She is not just a resident of Poble Sec, she is its heartbeat. By day, she is a quiet observer, perched on windowsills, watching the world go by. But as night falls, she transforms. The one silent doll becomes the life of every party, dancing in the streets, her laughter echoing of the old buildings. Her connection to the music written for her is profound. This energetic dance composition doesn't just play in the background. It flows through her, animating her every move. It's said that when the first chord strikes, Nina's eyes sparkle with 1,000 stories, each one a tale of the neighborhood, a vibrant history. Rumor has it that Nina knows every corner of Poble Sec, like the back of your hand. She is the unofficial guide of the best hidden spots, from the coziest little cafes to the most uproarious underground cabarets. But she is more than just a guide. She is a muse to the artists and musicians who find inspiration in her enigmatic presence. So, there you have it, the story of Nina, the mysterious, dancing, laughter-filled soul of Poble Sec. The place where art flirted with rebellion and cabaret was more than dance, it was a wink at freedom itself. She is not just a doll, she is a symbol of the neighborhood, a vibrant culture, a reminder that every street and every corner has a story to tell it, only you know where to look. And maybe, just maybe, if you're lucky, you'll catch a glimpse of Nina twirling under the Barcelona mood night, a true artist's muse. To achieve something in this life, you need to set yourself deadlines. After all, there is a difference between working as an artist and actually being one. It's a fine skill to sell your time profitably, so that the moment you step out of the studio, you forget about work and feel free. Alas, that's not a skill I possess. Throughout my life, I have never really found my place in collectives except those that formed around me. I have had plenty of opportunities to work in various studios, and I have rented different spaces for teaching, but I have always spent most of my time working from home, meaning I'm always on duty, like a military officer. In reality, it just means I work way more than 8 hours a day. I have heard that work tends to stretch out. And as anyone knows, time flies when you are doing what you love. So I dive into the tunnel, and after sleepless night, I go to bed for a short while, only to wake up and be surprised for the results, and think, not bad at all. All that effort was not for nothing. Sometimes, of course, you wake up to disappointment. That happens too. It means you need to repeat the nocturnal iteration to achieve the desired outcome. There is never enough time. But I sold my house in Moscow. I am getting my Spanish papers in order, plus I need to make a name for myself in a new place. This means I need to produce something digestible within the set deadlines, so I won't be ashamed of myself. I console myself with the thought that I am not planning to sell the dolls instantly, and that before I take them to an exhibition, I'll have time to perfect all the imperfections. There is a joke. The best is the enemy of the good. Well, I hate when the best becomes the enemy of the good. I want to work only with perfection. I need 25th hour in the day. Finally, met with Jubilee Lola, with whom we will be creating a collection of my jewelry for my dolls. This means that all the jewelry, buttons and such will be redesigned. Life is in perpetual motion. The dolls will only be ready for the exhibition. I'll tell you more about it later, but for now, hit like and subscribe. I made a black doll. And I want to say right off the bat that I was not deeply immersed in the topic of inclusivity, and now I am treading very carefully on this ice. The subjects of racism resonated widely in the Western society over the past few years, especially in America. And if all my friends from the US, regardless of their background, always say they're Americans, then with Russia, it's a bit more nuanced. In jest, this is called Great Russian Chauvinism. The gist is that a huge number of immigrants from former USSR countries flocked to Russia. 75 years did not give rise to a Soviet person as a type, but the people were thoroughly mixed. 300 million people from Yakutia to East Germany were thrown onto Comrade Stalin's blender. You are probably aware that he forcibly distributed everyone across the USSR. Typically, such immigrants always had a grandmother, mom, or dad who turned out to be Tatar, Kazakh, Ukrainian. And here is migralization that occurred at home. These people weren't fully accepted as their own with their Russianness. They went to Moscow, where upon arrival, they were told that they were not Russian, but accordingly, Tatars, Kazakhs, Ukrainians. That is, newcomers often encounter jokes when they say they are Russians. By the way, in Ukraine now, many call themselves Ukrainians, regardless of ethnic affiliation. Now, the phrase titular nation makes me anxious. I think that nation is foremost a political concept, and states in our age more like companies from which you choose where to get a job. I chose Spain to live in largely because this country has much less developed chauvinism as such. On the streets, lots of cute guys, women's rights are respected, and everyone smiles around. After interacting with Black people in my area, I felt inspired to ethnically diversify my collection. Let's see what the world has to say in response. I also met with Adri, the musician with whom we will continue the series of melodies for Barcelona. Specifically, we will be creating an embodiment on the Raval district. Adri is well suited for this role because, first of all, he is a true Catalan. And for this district, I wanted to find a native resident of Catalonia, perhaps because it might be the most whimsical district of Barcelona. One of the most creative, a bit criminal, right in the center, and the most multicultural. Our El Raval never sleeps. Secondly, Adri himself has lived in this district for a long time, and we will get musical impressions firsthand. We are looking forward to it. I was also looking for costume ideas for Raval, and once again, neural networks came to the rescue. This time it was DALL-E. It's much easier to navigate now because it's linked to ChatGPT, and you just need only to articulate what you need. Previously, we searched for references and made collages cutting out figures from magazines. But the future has already started saving us a lot of time. And we can get a result in 10 minutes that would have taken a week to achieve in the past. Please understand that I never like to engage in fighting for anyone's rights, except perhaps I tried to defend democracy in my youth. But having talked with friends from Latin America, I was surprised to find that we had encountered misogyny to varying degrees. If I ever found it, it was voluntary. But generally, in my circle, a woman never pondered whether her rights were equal to men's. The rights are equal, but often there are just more responsibilities. Children, home, beauty. Men are traditionally much fewer than in Europe or the USA, due to wars, stress, and alcoholism. It feels like running like a squirrel in a wheel. And there is a history behind this. In the grand, unpredictable theater of history, Russia has always had a flair for the dramatic, especially when it comes to the role of women in society. Let's cast our minds back to the early 20th century, when the Bolsheviks, in their revolutionary zeal, decided that gender equality wasn't just a noble idea, but a practical one. They realized with a stroke of pragmatic enlightenment that their grandiose projects would need all hands on deck, regardless of whether those hands were nail polished or not. You see, while much of the world was still debating whether women should be allowed to vote, walk, or, heaven forbid, wear pants, the Bolsheviks were already drafting women into the workforce. It was as if someone said, "Comrades, we have this utopian society to build, and we are running a bit short on manpower. Any volunteers?" And just like that, Russian women found themselves shoulder to shoulder with men laying bricks, driving tractors, and occasionally managing to outdo them in productivity. It wasn't so much about smashing the patriarchy as it was about meeting the 5-year plan quotas. But the result was a comparatively progressive stance of women's rights, at least on paper. Granted, this approach to gender equality was more about economic necessity than feminist ideology. Still, it has its perks. Russian women gained the right to vote as early as 1970. A move that was radical by global standards of the time. So, while the rest of the world was slowly warming up to the idea of woman participation in public life, Russia was already putting them to work on the massive scale. It was not all rosy, of course. The Soviet Union had its fair share of issues, and gender discrimination didn't magically disappear. But in a strange twist of historical irony, the Bolsheviks' economic pragmatism laid the groundwork of a level of gender equality that many countries are still striving to achieve. You see, I have started creating more content, more Instagram, and I'm also filming new courses in English. So, you should subscribe and like since you are watched up to here. Be happy and see you soon.